Hey everybody, welcome to the Beardy and the Baldy channel. As promised, here is my, at least we'll call it my first reaction or initial reaction to Wonder Woman. Um, just got home, did the setup for the shop and the lobby and everything, waited all night to see it, and of course, like everyone else, I've been seeing all the positive, like first impressions and all that coming out. I haven't read any actual reviews. And as I've become a fan of Wonder Woman over the past 5 or 6 years, I've been pretty invested in making sure, or not making sure, but hoping this movie lived up to, um, especially all the hype it's been getting lately. And I want to say that it is definitely uh, not that the standard is very high in regards to beginning, middle, end movies from the DC story so far, but Wonder Woman delivers a fantastic film with beginning, middle, and end. It's a clear, understandable plot line. Even if you don't know anything about the character or DC Comics, you will be able to follow this movie um, really well. It's well paced, well explained, well acted, well directed. Uh, so overall, I give this movie really high ranks. Part of me struggles with where I place it compared to King Arthur that I just recently watched, because there's so much that I liked about this more than King Arthur, but there's some other things about King Arthur I think delivered a little more than Wonder Woman did. And I know I'm not trying to be like a fanboy here about the movie, because as far as Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor and a lot of the major like iconic things about her character and who she is from the comics, they nailed it. They really delivered on doing, no pun intended, justice by this character as far as her representation on the big screen for her first solo movie. And that said, I think this is a superhero movie, not just a female superhero movie, but this is a superhero movie we needed right now. As just for entertainment, I think as a country for America, seeing something like this, even though America has very little to do with this movie. Obviously, Steve Trevor, his character is American. Um, Not that America was not involved in World War One, but in the context of what's happening in this movie, America doesn't really play any role. Uh, but it's just it's a great movie. The visual effects are amazing. The music is great. Um, there's just so much this movie has going for it, and it's carrying a huge burden on its shoulders with expectations, not only from fanboys of the comics, and I don't mean that, not just fanboys, but just fans in general of the comics, because there are a lot of people, uh, girls, boys, men, women, everything, everybody is really expecting a lot out of this movie. Uh, and you've got the fans of the old TV show and all these different things. So there's so much anticipation for Wonder Woman, and given that she was the shining light of Batman v Superman last year, they delivered everything that was great about her in that movie and more in this, because you get to see actual character progression and plotline for her instead of just being a interesting bit to the action at the end of the movie. Like, not that she didn't have anything else to do with the movie, but she was a kind of very third tier character as far as what she gets to do in that movie until the end. And but in Wonder Woman, the movie itself, um, it just was really good. They really established great emotional bonds and connections between characters. The chemistry between the actors and actresses are very apparent. There's a lot of humor in it that I was not expecting. I was hoping for uh, the heart and the emotional core of it, which I think was fantastic. And for me, the only thing that really lacked was kind of the third act. I don't want to give any spoilers away. Like, I think it was still great. It is far better than a lot of other movies out there in, just kind of the action genre and superhero genre specifically. But there was a couple things that kind of just didn't quite hit the mark for me completely towards the end of the movie. But that is not in any way saying the movie was bad or anything. It really delivered pretty much everything I was hoping it would. And Gal Gadot, her performance as Diana was fantastic. It was like the comic books just stepped off the page and became a living, breathing person on the screen. Steve Trevor, as I know they've shifted the story from World War II to World War I think was a really interesting choice. I think it was a very necessary choice after seeing the movie. And if you've seen the trailers, you've seen... I'm going to assume anybody watching this has seen the trailer, so this is not a spoiler, but when you see her climb that ladder and step into no man's land on the battlefield... as far as I'm concerned, the movie could have ended after that sequence of events plays out in the movie, and I would have been completely happy with where that movie took me. But there's a lot more after that, and it's all good. So, like I said, for the most part, just a couple issues that I had, and it was in storytelling-wise, not comic fan-wise. But performances were great. I think Patty Jenkins did a fantastic job directing this movie. I don't... The only other movie I can think of off the top of my head that she's directed that I know of is Monster, and I never got around to seeing that. So I can't compare it to any of her other works, but it was really well done. I think DC and Warner Brothers has a massive hit on their hands. And as a studio and a creative force, they definitely needed this. It is definitely going to be probably it's definitely in my top 3 for the year so far, and Thor Ragnarok and Star Wars are depending on how well they do, but this is definitely going to land somewhere in my top 3. Like I said, King Arthur may get bounced around a little bit, but Wonder Woman really delivered. I know I keep saying that, but there was just so much that was well done in this movie that I was really pleased with. Like I said, there's a lot of humor, especially the banter and the conversations between Diana and Steve. I think those were great. The rest of the cast they assembled was great. Etta Candy was... she was not in it enough. She was great. I wanted to see more of her. Which, maybe we'll get to see more of that down the road. But she was so well done. Yeah, and just the fight scenes from what you've seen in the trailers are... from beginning to end, they live up to that and surpass, I think, everything I was hoping those fight sequences would be. And like I said, there's a real heart and emotional core to this movie that was really, really important for me that it was there, and I think it was. Hopefully this movie has the potential to elevate all of the DCU movies going forward, and so I'm a lot more hopeful for Justice League as a whole, and Aquaman, and everything else that's on the slate coming up for DC. So, given the extended cut of both Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, I think DC's definitely moving in the right direction with their movies, and I say that as not just a fan of movies, but as a comic fan as well. So, but Wonder Woman, I think and here's one of my biggest problems, and it's not about the movie itself, but it's about studios and the companies behind these things. It's like I'm glad Wonder Woman was the movie that got to deliver us the first big female superhero movie. It's just a real shame that it's taken this long to get this movie. I know, there was Supergirl back in the 80s. They did that Catwoman movie a while back, and Elektra, and none of those movies really live up to the potential of any of those characters. And that's not meant to insult or put down anyone in those movies, but they just didn't get there. Wonder Woman does, um, in a lot of ways. Uh, so yeah, so my review, my initial thoughts, and everything on this movie are really positive. Like I said, maybe I'll do another review down the road where I get a little more into details and go spoilery on it, but or at least explain what my issues were with it. And again, they're minor compared to everything else that I liked about the movie. So, uh, to turn off YouTube, get off your phone, get off your tablet, whatever you're watching on, and go see the movie. I don't think you will regret it. I don't want to overhype it to make it be this illustrious, perfect thing, because there's really no such thing. Um, well, maybe uh, except for my fiance. She's pretty perfect in my opinion. Uh, but yeah, there's not much else out there cinematically that I would consider a perfect movie, but Wonder Woman gets pretty close, and I think it's definitely worth going out to the theater. It's definitely worth seeing on the big screen. Don't see it at the drive-in unless you really like the drive-in. It's worth seeing in a nice big auditorium with the surround sound and all of that. Um, I know we'll probably see. I'm not trying not to see too many movies on repeat viewings, but this is one I might have to go back for a second take, just to kind of take in some of the things I might have missed or little details. We'll see. We'll see. There's plenty of other big movies coming out this summer that also need to be seen. But anyway, Wonder Woman, good acting, good directing, mostly good story. Cinematography is fantastic. The costumes are great. When you get to see her, Diana, coming into the real world, it's very easily a trope or a cliche thing to see, the character coming into the different atmosphere and everything. But I think they do a really good job with it in this movie. And Steve Trevor's reactions to a lot of things that she does that Wonder Woman does is really good. And I will say this, and I apologize if this is a spoiler, don't expect anyone to actually call her Wonder Woman. Uh, it's a great name for a comic and a series, and in that world it works. I'm sure they'll get there in the movies eventually, but hearing someone just, I don't know. I'm just glad someone didn't just cheesily slip it out there. Call her, wow, she's a wonder. Yeah, what a Wonder Woman. There was no moment like that. So, which I was really afraid there would be, but there wasn't. So I give it top marks. Definitely worth seeing. Go check it out. Wonder Woman out in theaters now, and will probably be for some time. I see this movie is going to do really well at the theaters. I wouldn't be surprised if it's still playing in big theaters till the end of July, if not longer. So go out, enjoy it. Wonder Woman, latest movie from DC, and that's it. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. It's really early in the morning, and I got to go to work. So have a great day, and peace.